Hey guys, welcome to another video. My name is Ian, I am Ian the Reader, and today I'm going to be doing another book tag because I wanted to. I had a lot of fun with the booktube newbie tag last week, and I thought, you know what, let's do another one. That was a lot of fun, let's just go for it. But of course nobody's going to tag me because I've been doing this for like 2 weeks. So I was watching Shelf Centered the other day. He's a really great booktuber. I follow him on Instagram as well, and he did the no disclaimer book tag a couple weeks ago, maybe it was more recently than that, I don't remember, but I watched it recently, and it seemed like a really fun tag. I've seen it around, but I didn't remember what it was, and when I watched this video, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do this. I don't care, nobody tagged me, but that's fine, I'll do it myself. I tag myself. So let's do this. First question is, which tropes in books annoy you the most? So I have a few tropes that I'm not a big fan of, but to be honest, the one that is like the king of all terrible tropes is insta-love. If there's insta-love in a book, it automatically like goes down at least 1 or 2 stars for me because it's just not very believable, you know? I mean, if there's a really good relationship in a book that is natural, that progresses at a normal speed, that, you know, has a lot backing it up, where there's like, okay, yes, you love each other, but it makes sense that you love each other because you've been through da-da-da-da-da together, or you've done this for each other, and you've had all this time. Like, that makes more sense to me than you meet somebody, then 2 days later, you're madly in love with them or whatever, or like on the spot, you're madly in love with them. It's unbelievable. It takes me out of my reading experience, and it's just gross, okay? It's gross. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't like it. Insta-love sucks. There, I said it. Question number 2 is, which writer do you feel is overrated? Okay, I have one for this, and okay, so I really liked one of this author's books a lot, actually, but everything else that I've read by them thus far has just let me down, honestly, and that author is Riley Sager. I really enjoyed Home Before Dark. I think it was like a 4-star from me, maybe like a 4.25. It wasn't a 4.5, but it was good. I liked it a lot. But other than that, like, I feel he is overhyped. Like, everybody goes crazy for his new books when they drop. Like, one of them just came out this year, Survive the Night. But I just don't get it, you know? Like, I feel like his stories are kind of predictable. They're either super predictable or they're super outrageously out there to the point that, like, it just doesn't make sense. And it's one of those things, I was actually talking to somebody about this the other day, where, like, he publishes a book a year, right? Like, literally, Survive the Night just came out, and a year before that it was Home Before the Dark, and a year before that it was Lock Every Door, and so on and so forth. And I think, honestly, if he just was allowed to take a little bit more time with his books, like maybe give him 2 years to write a book, or 3 for God's sake, who cares? There's so many thrillers out there, you can read something else besides a Riley Sager book 1 year. If he had more time, like, I think he could do it, you know, I think he could do some really great stuff, because Home Before Dark was, like, pretty great. But it's just, he's trying to rush these books out so fast that I feel like they're kind of half-baked, honestly. I haven't read his newest one, Survive the Night, but the things that I've heard about it just make me have no interest in it whatsoever, honestly. So, yeah, that's my answer for that question. Cece, you wanna come up here? Come hither, child. All right, you can come or not come, it's fine, I don't care. Question number 3 is, what are your least favorite books you've read since joining BookTube? Okay, so I've only been making videos for like 2 or 3 weeks now, so I don't really feel that counts, although I do have one that I could say. But I'm gonna go ahead and give 2 answers. One of them, because I've been watching BookTube for a long time, so one of them was really hyped on BookTube, and so I saw it on there and I decided to pick it up, and it let me down. And then another one was really hyped on Bookstagram, which I've been on for a couple years, and then I read it and it let me down. So the BookTube pick is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I don't really know what to say about this. So I wouldn't say it was bad, but it was really disappointing. I've seen this video hyped by so many people over so many years, and like to the point that like I'd even like Googled like the best fantasy books of the 21st century or whatever, and it was like #1 on a couple lists. And so when I went in, my expectations were like super high. But I have a few issues with this book. First off, Kavoth. He's super obnoxious because like he's always going on about how amazing he is and how he's so good at this and so good at that, blah blah blah. But like on page, you really don't see a lot of that, you know? It's just not there. There's nothing substantial to his claims, at least in the first book. And then on top of that, like, okay, so I understand the issue that Patrick Rothfuss has with like not having written the third book, because at least in the first book, you know, not a lot happens. Not a lot of time passes, and like at the start of the book, or maybe on the back or something like that, he like, goes on this long list of like all these different things that he's done and places he's been and yada yada yada, and none of that, like literally none of that happens in the first book. And so when I finished it, I was just kind of left wondering like if I was missing something, you know, like it was a letdown. And so I keep telling myself eventually I'm gonna pick up the second book, but I don't want to. Yeah, I don't really want to, sorry. And then the second one is called The Maidens by Alex Michaelides? Something like that. The Maidens, anyway, the second book is The Maidens. And I had really high hopes for this one. I'd seen it hyped all over, you know, Bookstagram, and it's definitely got one of those covers that is very trendy right now. And so I was like, okay, this seems like an interesting book, and I really did enjoy that author's first book, The Silent Patient. I thought it was pretty good. And so I was excited about The Maidens, but honestly, I didn't hate it. I just really didn't like it. Part of it was the characters I just wasn't attached to. Second off, it was kind of like one of those things where with the first book that this author wrote, he had a huge twist, and when you read it, you're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy, and it was a great twist. And so part of me felt like he just felt like he had to have another crazy twist, and so he threw it in there, but it didn't make any sense, you know? And then on top of that, like, there's this whole dark academia thing, and like the maidens or whatever, and they just weren't really a very important part of the plot, and it was just a bit ridiculous. I don't know, and I know a lot of people love this book, and a lot of people hate this book, and I definitely fall in the category that I didn't really like it very much. So if you love it, good for you, man. That's awesome. But it was not for me. So, oh well. Next up, question number 4 is, what is a terrible ending that ruined an otherwise quality book? That's a good question. I didn't think about this one before. I really should have, because there's gotta be one, right? What endings do I not like? Hang on, I have something. I know I do. Oh. Okay, sure. I had to really like think back on this, because to be honest with you, I respect endings pretty well. Like, it's very rare that like an ending will bother me, because, you know, an author chooses to end a book where they choose to with a lot of intention, and so for the most part, endings are never my issue with books. Okay, it's Ian from the future. The answer that I picked for this question was pretty terrible, and then as I was editing, I came up with a much better answer. It's definitely Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. I love the Realm of the Elderling series and Robin Hobb in general, but this ending was a bit flubbed in my opinion. It is definitely one of my least favorite entries in the Realm of the Elderling series. It's just, I had so high expectations out of where the ending was gonna go, because I loved book 2 of this original trilogy. And while like I understand it wasn't the end of the series as a whole, because there were many, many, many more books to come in the Realm of the Elderling series, it was the ending of the Farseer trilogy, and I feel like because it was its own trilogy, it should have had an ending that can stand on its own, and the ending of Assassin's Quest just didn't for me. It was kind of boring as a whole, and then I was just not satisfied with the climax of the story. It was just a letdown, especially because Fitz wasn't even really there for like a big portion of like the action. He was somewhere else, and I was just kind of disappointed. So again, like, it's not the ending of the whole series, but it is the ending of that trilogy, and I just wish it had gone a little bit differently. It wasn't like the worst ending ever, but it definitely could have gone a little bit better in my opinion. Next up, question number 5 is, which fictional character do you wish was not killed off? So for this one, I'm gonna flip this question on its head, because again, this is another one of those things that I like really respect authors on, is when they choose to kill off a character, I think they're very intentional about it for the most part. And so I don't really have an issue when characters are killed off. If anything, maybe there was a character I didn't want to die in the first Mistborn book, and if you've read Mistborn, you know exactly who I'm talking about. But other than that, I mean, I respect the decisions they make as far as killing off characters, because it's no easy decision. But I do have an issue when authors don't kill off characters, okay? And hear me out here. So, like, if there's this huge, massive war, this huge battle or whatever, and, like, none of the characters are killed off, it just doesn't feel like there are real stakes, and it doesn't feel realistic to me in any way, shape, or form. And so for this, I am choosing to discuss the Throne of Glass series, which I had a little bit of a falling out with near the end of that series. I loved books 1 through 4 when I read them the first time. It was like 2015, maybe 2014 when I picked up Throne of Glass, and I followed the series as, Queen of Shadows was released and so on from there. But after Queen of Shadows, the series really took a turn, but that's not why I'm here. That's not what I'm here to talk about. With Kingdom of Ash, and spoilers for this book, I'm gonna get into spoilers. If you don't want any spoilers for Kingdom of Ash, the last book in the Throne of Glass series, or for Throne of Glass in general, go ahead and skip ahead to this time in the video, and I will be done talking with Throne of Glass at that point. Are you gone? Okay, here come the spoilers. Okay, Kingdom of Ash. More people should have died, okay? Because, like, what, Adian's father died, and then, okay, the 13 dying was traumatic for me. That was tragic because the 13 were some of the best characters that Sarah J. Maas has ever written, in my opinion. But, especially with Empire of Storms, there was that whole, like, fake me out thing where she said, or Sarah J. Maas wrote basically that one of them had to die, either Aelin or Dorian. And then neither of them died. Like, that was a lie. It was just to build suspense or whatever. And then all of the main characters survived. And it just doesn't add up, because there's this huge battle, this huge army, and everyone lives. Which, felt honestly like a cheap way to finish the series, because maybe she, I know she wanted to make people happy. Don't get me wrong, I know she wanted to make people happy and didn't want to kill off characters that everybody loved, but it felt like she took the easy way out, and made people happy when it kind of cheapened the whole last battle in the last book. But anyway, I've talked enough about this, but that's my answer for that question. I know I flipped it on its head, but I feel like that is a better answer than what I would have had for the original question. Question number 6. What are some of your bookish pet peeves? Okay, so this isn't like a pet peeve exactly. It's more of just like a weird thing, okay? I know it's weird. I need to get past it. I will, probably. But, like, I have, like, a weird sense of trepidation around books that are, like, co-written. Or, like, are by 2 authors. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the fact that I don't know who to attribute the qualities of a book that I love to. Like, if a book is written by 2 people and I'm like, oh, I really loved this scene, or like, oh, I really loved this character in particular, or blah, 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 blah about the book, I don't know who to praise. Which author do I say, yeah, they did a great job with it? Maybe that's part of it. I actually don't know. I don't know why, but if a book is written by 2 people, I am immediately less interested in it. I honestly don't know what it is about it that messes with me, but there it is. I know that there are good co-written books out there. I've read a couple, I think, but there's something about it. Like, even if it's like written under like one name, like I know the Expanse series is written by 2 authors, but they have put it under one name. Like, even that, like, I don't know what it is. As soon as I find out that 2 people are, credited with having written the book, I immediately am like, maybe I won't read it. And I need to get past it. I know I do, because I'm missing out, but I can't help myself. It's just who I am. Oh well. Question number 7. What are some books you feel should have more recognition? So, classics don't get enough recognition, in my opinion, in the modern era of booktube and bookstagram. I know new releases are so hyped, and occasionally, like, a book will surface from the plethora, endless thousands and thousands and millions or whatever of books that have been published. A book will arise from that massive ocean of literature to become buzzy again. And I know that happens sometimes, but honestly, it should happen more, because there are some amazing books that were written, 50 or 100 years ago or whatever, and I feel like they deserve more attention. But I'm not going to talk too much about classics. I will say my favorite classic and my favorite book of all time is East of Eden by John Steinbeck, which gets a lot of attention, but it deserves more, okay? It does, especially in this booktube community. Come on, people, read East of Eden. But a book that has been published in more recent years and I feel deserves more attention is Boy Swallows Universe by Trent Dalton. This is one of my favorite books of all time. I wanted to read it for a number of years. It came out in, I think, like 2017, maybe. And I finally picked it up in 2020, and it was just beautiful. I mean, the writing in this book, the characters, the sense of like wonder that permeates and like literally every page of this book is just unbelievable. And I think about this book all the time. It's one of my favorites, and it is really popular in Australia, which is where the author is from. But in the States, it just does not get the recognition it deserves. So if you're watching this, Boy Swallows Universe is one of the best coming-of-age stories I've ever read. I love it so much, and yeah, it's amazing. You should totally pick it up. Another really amazing book that I read this year and really loved is Open Water. It is, like, beautiful. The writing in it is some of the most gorgeous writing I've ever read. Honestly, like, it feels like you're reading poetry the whole time, but, like, not in, like, a super over-the-top flowery way, just, like, in writing that really cuts to the heart so instantly. It is gorgeous. It's one of my favorite publications of the year. You should totally check this one out as well. And then question number 8, what are your thoughts on censorship and banning books? Yeah, I'm of the personal opinion that all books should be banned. In Fahrenheit 451, I was rooting for the fire. Like, what even is this question? What am I supposed to say? And that is it for the No Disclaimers book tag. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I'm not gonna tag anyone, but if you're watching this and wanna do this video, you should totally do it. It was fun. Thank you so much for watching. I post videos every Tuesday and Friday. Don't be a stranger, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!